She wakes up at 6 in the morning, not for herself, not for work, but because a small creature with fur and 4 legs needs breakfast. She prepares the meal with care. Organic chicken, a touch of pumpkin for digestion. She checks the label twice to make sure there are no harmful additives. And as she sets down the bowl, she whispers the same words she has said every morning for the past 7 years. "Good morning, my baby." To some, this scene might seem excessive, maybe even a little strange. But to millions of people around the world, this is simply what love looks like. They throw birthday parties with custom cakes. They buy strollers and matching outfits. They call themselves mom and dad to creatures who will never speak a single word back to them. And if you have ever looked at one of these people and wondered what is really going on inside their minds, you are not alone. But here is where it gets interesting. What if this behavior is not strange at all? What if treating a pet like a child is actually one of the most human things a person can do? What if it reveals something deep and ancient about the way our brains are wired for connection? Let us start with something that might surprise you. When you look into the eyes of your dog, something happens in your brain. A chemical is released. It is called oxytocin. You might know it by another name, the love hormone, the cuddle chemical. It is the same substance that floods a mother's brain when she holds her newborn baby for the first time. Scientists discovered this by studying what happens when humans and dogs gaze at each other. They found that both the human and the dog experience a spike in oxytocin during these moments of eye contact. This is not a coincidence. This is biology. Your brain is literally designed to bond with this creature. And here is the fascinating part. This response does not happen with wolves, even if they have been raised by humans from birth. It only happens with domesticated dogs. Over thousands of years of living alongside humans, dogs have evolved to hijack our parenting instincts. So when someone calls their golden retriever their baby, their brain is not lying to them. On a chemical level, they are experiencing something remarkably similar to parental love. The warmth, the protectiveness, the overwhelming urge to nurture. It is all real, and this goes even deeper than a simple chemical reaction. Research has shown that the same regions of the brain that activate when mothers look at photos of their children also activate when people look at photos of their dogs. The same neural pathways, the same emotional circuitry. Our brains genuinely cannot tell the difference between nurturing a human baby and nurturing a furry one. This is not weakness. This is not delusion. This is thousands of years of evolution creating a bond so powerful that it transcends species. Dogs figured out long ago that if they looked at humans with those big, soft eyes, they would be taken care of. And humans figured out that having a loyal companion made the darkness of the world a little more bearable. But oxytocin is only part of the story. To truly understand why so many people have come to treat their pets as children, we need to look at something deeper, something that lives in the quiet spaces of the human heart. Consider a case profile of someone we will call Daniel. Daniel is 34 years old. He works in accounting. He lives alone in a small apartment with a cat named Oliver. To the outside world, Daniel seems fine. He goes to work. He pays his bills. He smiles at the appropriate times. But inside, Daniel carries a weight that very few people know about. Growing up, Daniel learned that love was conditional. His parents were not cruel, but they were distant. Affection was earned through achievement. A good grade meant a pat on the back. A failure meant silence. By the time Daniel reached adulthood, he had internalized a painful belief. He was only worthy of love when he was useful, when he was perfect, when he gave something in return. Then Oliver came into his life, a scruffy orange tabby with half an ear missing. Daniel did not choose Oliver. Oliver chose him, wandering into his apartment through an open window one summer evening and simply refusing to leave. And something shifted. Oliver did not care about Daniel's job. Oliver did not care about his accomplishments or his failures. Oliver did not keep score. Every morning, that little cat would curl up on Daniel's chest and purr, asking for nothing but presents. For the first time in his life, Daniel experienced something he did not know he needed. Unconditional acceptance. This is the mirror effect. Pets become reflections of our deepest emotional needs. They show us the parts of ourselves that are hungry for something we may have never received from other humans. For Daniel, Oliver was not just a pet. Oliver was proof that he could be loved simply for existing. There is something almost magical about how pets see us. They do not see our resume or our bank account. They do not care about the weight we have gained or the wrinkles forming around our eyes. They do not judge us for the mistakes we made at work or the awkward thing we said at dinner. They see us exactly as we are, and they choose us anyway, every single day. For people who grew up believing they had to earn love, this is revolutionary. It rewrites the script they have been carrying since childhood. It whispers a new truth into the deepest part of their being. You are enough, just as you are, right now, in this moment. And Daniel is not alone. In a narrative illustration, consider someone named Maria. She is 42, divorced, no children by choice. She has a small dog named Biscuit, who goes everywhere with her. To brunch, to the salon, to weekend getaways at dog-friendly hotels. Her friends sometimes joke about it. They call her a crazy dog lady when she's not around, but they do not know what Maria knows. 10 years ago, Maria was in a marriage that nearly destroyed her. Her husband was charming in public and cruel in private. The kind of man could smile at a dinner party while whispering cutting words under his breath. For years, Maria believed she was the problem, that she was too sensitive, too needy, too much. When she finally left, she was empty, hollowed out. Trust felt like a foreign language she had forgotten how to speak. And then came Biscuit, a tiny, trembling rescue dog who had been neglected by her previous owners. When Maria looked into those frightened eyes, she saw herself. Here is what the people who judge Maria do not understand. She is not replacing human connection with an animal. She is rebuilding her capacity for connection entirely. Biscuit is her practice ground, a safe space where she can give love and receive it without the terror of being hurt again. Every day that Maria cares for that little dog, she is teaching herself that she is still capable of tenderness, that the cruelty she survived did not kill the softness inside her. Psychologists call this graduated exposure. When someone has been deeply wounded, they cannot simply jump back into the situations that hurt them. They need to take small steps. They need to practice trust in environments where the stakes feel manageable. For Maria, that environment is her relationship with Biscuit. And here is the beautiful thing. It is working. Slowly, Maria is learning to open up again. She has started accepting invitations to coffee with acquaintances. She has begun to believe, hesitantly, that not everyone will hurt her. Biscuit did not replace human connection. Biscuit made human connection possible again. But now we arrive at a more complicated part of this psychology, because not every story is one of healing. Sometimes, the intensity of pet parenting comes from a darker place, a place of avoidance rather than recovery. In modern society, human relationships have become incredibly complex. Dating apps have turned romance into a numbers game. Friendships require constant maintenance across multiple platforms. Family dynamics can be minefields of old wounds and unspoken resentments. For some people, the messiness of human connection has become too much to bear, and so they retreat, not into isolation, but into the simpler love of animals. A dog will never ghost you after a third date. A cat will never bring up that embarrassing thing you said at a party 5 years ago. A rabbit will never compare you to a sibling or make you feel small for your life choices. Animals offer a love that is refreshingly simple in a world that has become impossibly complicated. There is a reason why pet ownership has skyrocketed in recent years, especially among younger generations. The same people who report higher levels of loneliness and anxiety than any generation before them are also the ones filling their apartments with cats and dogs and hamsters. This is not a coincidence. They are seeking refuge from the emotional minefield of modern human interaction. Consider someone we will call James. He is 28, smart, successful by most measures. He has 2 large dogs that he treats like his entire world. He plans his schedule around them. He turns down social invitations if they conflict with their routine. He has not been on a date in 3 years, and when his friends ask about it, he simply says he is too busy. But the truth is more complicated. James is terrified of vulnerability, terrified of being seen and found lacking, terrified of opening his heart to another person only to have it broken again. His last relationship ended badly. She told him he was emotionally unavailable, that he kept her at arm's length, that loving him felt like trying to hold water in her hands. He has never forgotten those words, and some part of him worries that she was right. His dogs are safe. They adore him completely. With them, he never has to risk rejection. He never has to face the uncomfortable truth that real love between humans requires showing up, flaws and all. He can be emotionally unavailable, and his dogs will still think he is the greatest person in the world. This is the shadow side of pet parenting, when the bond with an animal becomes a fortress rather than a bridge, when it protects us from pain at the cost of protecting us from growth. And here is where the tension really lives, because from the outside, it is almost impossible to tell the difference. The person healing through their pet looks exactly the same as the person hiding behind their pet. They both throw the birthday parties. They both post the adorable photos. They both say, "I love you" more than anything to a creature who will never say it back. Only they know the truth. Only they know whether their pet is helping them become more capable of human connection or less. And this is where honest self-reflection becomes so important. If you recognize yourself in any of these stories, it might be worth asking some difficult questions. Is my pet helping me grow or helping me hide? Am I using this relationship as a stepping stone toward greater connection, or as a wall to keep connection out? These are not easy questions, and the answers might be uncomfortable, but they are worth asking. Because here is the thing about avoidance. It feels like safety in the moment, but it costs us in the long run. Every day that James chooses the simple love of his dogs over the messy, terrifying love of another human, he's getting a little more comfortable in his isolation. The walls get a little higher, the fear gets a little stronger, and the gap between him and genuine human intimacy gets a little wider. This does not mean he should love his dogs less. It means he might need to start challenging himself to love humans more. But let us pause here, because there is another layer to this that often gets overlooked. Sometimes treating a pet like a child is not about wounds or avoidance at all. Sometimes it is simply about the fundamental human need to nurture. We are a caregiving species. This is woven into our biology. For hundreds of thousands of years, the humans who felt compelled to care for the young and vulnerable were the ones who survived. This instinct is so powerful that it does not always require a human target. It just needs somewhere to go. Think about people who have chosen not to have children. This is an increasingly common choice and a completely valid one. But the absence of children does not mean the absence of the nurturing instinct. That energy has to go somewhere. For many, it goes into their pets. They pour into their animals all the love and attention they might have given to human offspring. And there is nothing wrong with this. It is simply the nurturing drive finding an outlet. Some might call this a consolation prize, a second best option for people who could not or would not become parents. But that framing misses something important. The love these people feel for their pets is not lesser love. It is not practice love or pretend love. It is real, genuine, full-hearted love that simply happens to be directed at a creature with 4 legs instead of 2. Or think about people who cannot have children, even though they desperately want them. In a narrative illustration, consider someone named Grace. She is 38. She and her husband tried for years. The treatments, the disappointments, the grief that no one talks about because it is grief for something that never existed. The empty nursery they eventually had to turn into a home office because looking at it was too painful. Eventually, they stopped trying. And then they adopted a dog named Rosie. Grace knows that Rosie is not a replacement for the child she never had. Nothing could be. But caring for Rosie gives her somewhere to put the love that has been building up inside her with no place to land. When she tucks a blanket around Rosie on cold nights, something in her heart eases, not heals completely, but eases. Her husband sometimes catches her singing lullabies to Rosie. He does not tease her about it. He understands. They both do. Rosie is not filling the hole in their hearts. She is simply making it possible to live alongside that hole without being swallowed by it. Now we need to talk about something that makes people uncomfortable. The way society judges those who treat pets like children. The eye rolls, the whispered comments, the articles declaring that this generation cares more about dogs than babies, as if love were a zero-sum game, as if caring deeply for an animal somehow diminishes your capacity to care for humans. There is something almost cruel about this judgment. We live in a world that is increasingly starved for genuine connection, a world where loneliness has been declared a public health crisis, a world where people walk past each other every day without making eye contact, lost in their phones and their worries and their private struggles. And when someone finds real connection, even if it is with an animal, we mock them for it. Perhaps the judgment comes from discomfort. Perhaps seeing someone love so openly, so unashamedly, makes others feel embarrassed about their own emotional walls. Perhaps it is easier to laugh at the woman with the dog stroller than to examine why her capacity for love makes us so uncomfortable. But here is what the critics miss. The person who learns to love unconditionally through their pet often becomes better at loving humans too. Empathy is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Every act of tenderness practiced on a small creature with paws and a wagging tail is an act of tenderness that becomes easier to offer another person. Studies have shown that children who grow up with pets develop greater empathy as adults. They learn early that other beings have feelings and needs. They practice caring for something vulnerable. And those lessons stick. The same principle applies to adults. The compassion we show our animals does not disappear when we interact with humans. It carries over. It becomes part of who we are. Consider what pet parenting actually requires: patience, consistency, selflessness, showing up even when you do not feel like it, putting another being's needs before your own comfort. These are the exact same skills required for healthy human relationships. The person who wakes at 3 in the morning to comfort a sick pet is practicing for all the times they will need to show up for the humans they love. And there is something else, something profound. Our pets teach us how to love without expectation of return. They will never tell us we did a good job. They will never thank us in words. They will never remember our birthdays or accomplish things that make us proud by association. Loving them is pure. It expects nothing except the privilege of loving. This kind of love is rare in human relationships. We so often love with strings attached, with conditions and expectations and scorecards. We keep mental tallies of who did what and who owes whom. We withdraw affection when we feel slighted. We punish with silence. We make people earn our warmth. But the person who has practiced unconditional love with their pet, they bring something different to their human bonds. A generosity of spirit, a willingness to love without keeping track. They understand, on a deep level, that love is not a transaction. It is not an exchange where both parties must contribute equally or the whole thing falls apart. Sometimes love is just giving, and that giving is its own reward. There is wisdom in how our pets love us, a wisdom we would do well to learn from. They do not hold grudges. They do not bring up past mistakes. They greet us with the same joy, whether we have been gone for 5 minutes or 5 hours. They forgive instantly and completely. They choose connection over resentment every single time. Imagine if we brought even a fraction of that spirit to our human relationships. Imagine if we could forgive as quickly, love as freely, show up with as much enthusiasm. Our pets are not just receiving our love, they are teaching us how to love better. So where does all of this leave us? Perhaps you clicked on this because you recognize yourself in it. Perhaps you are the person with the stroller and the birthday cake and the custom portrait hanging above your fireplace. Perhaps you have felt judged for how much you love your pet. Perhaps you have wondered if there is something wrong with you for feeling so deeply about a creature that will never understand the depth of your devotion. Or perhaps you are someone who has watched this behavior from the outside, confused or curious, or maybe a little judgmental. Perhaps you have rolled your eyes at the elaborate pet birthday parties. Perhaps you have wondered what drives someone to spend hundreds of dollars on designer dog clothes. Wherever you stand, here is what I believe to be true. The way someone loves their pet reveals the way they have learned to love. It shows their wounds and their healing, their fears and their bravery, their loneliness and their hope. For some, their pet is a teacher, showing them that they are worthy of love exactly as they are. For others, their pet is a sanctuary, a place to rest before they find the courage to connect with humans again. For others still, their pet is simply a beloved member of the family. No justification needed. What all of these people share is a fundamental truth. The human heart needs to love. It needs to nurture and protect and care for something beyond itself. In a world that can feel cold and disconnected and endlessly complicated, the love we give our pets is not a lesser love. It is simply love finding its way home. The next time you see someone pushing a dog in a stroller, or hear them refer to their cat as their baby, resist the urge to judge. You do not know their story. You do not know what that creature represents to them, what wounds it is helping heal, what courage it is helping build, what loneliness it is keeping at bay. Maybe their love looks different from yours. Maybe it comes in a package with 4 legs and fur and a cold nose pressed against their cheek at midnight. But it is still love. Real and messy and imperfect and absolutely unmistakably human. And in the end, is that not what we are all searching for? Something to love. Something that loves us back. A heartbeat to come home to in an empty apartment. A pair of eyes that light up when we walk through the door. A small warm body that reminds us every single day that we matter to someone, that we are not alone. So if you are one of those people, the ones who throw the parties and buy the matching outfits and whisper goodnight to a sleeping creature who will never understand the words, know this: there is nothing crazy about you. There is nothing wrong with you. You are simply a human being doing what human beings have always done, finding love wherever it lives, and refusing to apologize for how deeply you feel it. That is not a flaw. That is a gift. And that wraps up today's exploration into the beautiful, complicated psychology of loving our pets like family. If this resonated with you, if you saw yourself or someone you love in these words, let us know in the comments below. We would love to hear your story. And if you enjoyed this video, consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more content like this. Your support means everything, and we will see you in the next one.